Isaac, where are you? Help me.
Your future, the future of our race ends here.
I remember playing Dead Space back on the PS3 and falling in love with the game. I loved the atmosphere, the sound, the gameplay, and the graphics. Dead Space was one of those games I could not stop playing. Until this day, it is one of my all-time favorite games. The game takes place in outer space, inside a ship called the Ishimura. You play as an engineer named Isaac Clarke that has to survive the endless waves of aliens called necromorphs after the crew members of the ship are slaughtered and infected by them. Inspired by the xenomorphs from the Alien movies, necromorphs are a dangerous species of aliens that infect a host to create more. Unlike other games where you kill enemies by shooting them in the head, you have to cut off their limbs in order to kill them. The weapons you use in game are designed to do so, making them different and more unique. The weapons feel so satisfying to use, and the sound effects you hear when killing enemies make them so much better. In addition, you have a telekinesis ability to pick up items from long distance and a stasis ability to slow enemies down. There are a variety of enemy types, so the game doesn't feel like you're killing the same thing over and over again. Each enemy had a different way of killing you, and each had a different animation that plays when they kill you. Seeing all the animations is terrifying, but satisfying at the same time. Since each enemy is different, it makes sense they each kill you in a different way.
Shoot it in the back, Isaac!
The game had a great level design, with each level being a new part of the ship to mix things up. I usually don't like playing as a silent protagonist in video games, but this game is an exception. You communicate with other survivors on the ship through a radio, but not hearing Isaac speak makes you feel all alone. This makes you feel more engaged with the game, where your only focus is survival. The game has a great story with an ending that makes you want more. Dead Space is a great in every category, and I consider it a near perfect game. The developers, Visceral Games, put so much effort into this game, and that's something I wish more developers would do.
I'm sorry.
I think it'll make a person become insane.
This game is an atrocity.
It's revolting. It's violent. It's everything you loving a game, and your mom's gonna hate it.
Why would they even make something like this?
Dead Space 2, rated M for mature.
After the success of Dead Space, Visceral made a sequel released in 2011. Dead Space 2 improved the gameplay and had better storytelling than the first. While Dead Space 2 was a great game, I believe the first is still superior, at least in some areas. The sequel focused more on action than horror, and I think that's what made the first game so popular. The enemies in the first game moved slower and would build more tension as you were pointing your gun at them getting ready to fire. If you ran out of ammo, the game felt scarier as enemies slowly caught up to you. However, the enemies in Dead Space 2 would run towards you, which I liked at first, but after playing for a while, it became annoying. Enemies would hit you right before shooting them, making me run away from them before shooting, or making me use my stasis ability all the time. This game has more quick time events than the first, making some parts of the game less scary. The atmosphere in the game was less dreary and had more color. Don't get me wrong, the game still had its moments, like the creepy nursery level. Isaac speaks in this game and suffers from dementia, making the game have some horrifying moments. At first I thought having Isaac speak would make the game less scary, but it made the storytelling a lot better. The game also had the best antagonist of the trilogy. Dead Space 2 had a good mix of action and horror. I think Dead Space was a better horror game, but Dead Space 2 was a better game overall. Visceral made another successful game, and it wasn't surprising that they decided to make another sequel.
Dead Space 3, rated M for mature.
Dead Space 3 came out in 2013, making it the last game in the series. This game made me feel like I was playing through a movie. This was becoming a norm for single player games. It had a cliche villain, a cliche plot, and movie type dialogue. This game feels very different from the first two because of the new setting, new game mechanics, and the introduction to co-op. The previous two games took place in space, while this one took place on an ice planet. The game still made you feel lost as you would walk through snowstorms and caves. This game added human enemies that fought back using guns, which was refreshing for the series. Isaac speaks a lot more in the game and interacts with a new character, John Carver, which is the optional co-op character you can play as. This adds new story details and gameplay mechanics. The addition of co-op made the game fun to play with friends. However, made the game a lot less scary as we would just joke around while killing enemies back and forth. Probably the biggest change they added was the ability to create your own weapons. You have a scavenger bot that you could send off to collect crafting materials to add mods to your weapons, making them more unique. The gameplay overall felt similar to the second game, with an even more focus on action, but still having those horror moments sprinkled in the game. Dead Space 3's ending had a cliffhanger, which was followed by the Awakening DLC that left fans underwhelmed. Dead Space 3 was still a good game, it had some interesting ideas, and it tried something new while still feeling like a Dead Space game. I would love a fourth game, but unfortunately EA decided to close Visceral Games in 2017. Dead Space 3 didn't make enough money to satisfy EA and decided for Visceral to work on other projects like Battlefield Hardline, which flopped and eventually closed down Visceral. This made me feel very sad, as this is my favorite trilogy in the 7th console generation. Dead Space became an instant classic for me when I first beat it, and playing through the series always reminds me of that great era of gaming, when games were still made to tell a story and not just to make money. Visceral Games did a fantastic job with this series. EA recently announced that they will release a remake of the first Dead Space, and I can't wait. While I think the game doesn't need a remake, if enough people buy it, maybe we can get a sequel to 3. Hopefully it is a faithful remake and don't make drastic changes to it besides the graphics. It will be made with the Frostbite engine, and I can't wait to see how the game will look and play. They did a great job remaking the Mass Effect trilogy, and I hope other EA games get the same treatment. I'm of course talking about Dante's Inferno. Visceral Games created my favorite video game trilogy. It's sad that they're no longer a studio, but this remake proves that Dead Space is not dead. It is a beloved series and a staple to the action horror genre. If you've never played Dead Space, I highly recommend you give it a try. You won't be disappointed. If you've made it to the end of the video, thank you for watching. Consider liking and subscribing for more bad content. Maybe watch another one of my bad videos. Y'all take it easy.